Oh, we're only on game 3. It's Beastcoast and Soniqs coming up just next. Beastcoast, a team that played twice yesterday and are yet to find a single points. That's a really bad hole to dig yourself out of when you're already 25% of the way done with your stage, or your group stage, rather. And on the opposite side, Soniqs are also in their own respective hole, but we had much higher expectations for them coming into this stage.
Yeah, we certainly did. For Soniqs, it was a super disappointment, right? Going down 7-2 to Wildcard, a brand new team for your opening match, not where you want to be. A team that many people expected to either win or certainly go to the major for SQ. Not the start they wanted, but they bounced back a little bit in their second game, pushed it to max OT. They did still lose, looking for their first win. And hopefully we see that bounce back continue this match.
Yeah, and the second game of Soniqs, again, we've talked about this again. It could have literally gone either way, so they could have walked away with a win. But I have no doubt that Soniqs, and especially when your back is against the wall now, because like you're saying, 25% of the season is done for them, like you don't have any room for errors here. If you can't get at least some more points on the board, it's not going to be looking too good going forward. But I am confident, them being a top team and a popular team, that they can come out on top.
Let's identify some specifics here, because, I mean, the last thing I want to do is say one player is the reason why a team is winning or losing. But we do need to take a look at the way that Rexon on Soniqs was playing yesterday, because he had 2 games and they were night and day differences, Jesse.
As a stats nerd, there's nothing I love more than an anomaly. And Rexon yesterday was twice in 2 separate directions. This was his first game of the day against Wildcard. 1 frag overall, 0.11 KD ratio, 1 in 9. He was struggling, especially when he was out there on the roam trying to support Gunner. But if we take a look at game number 2, when we go back to Rexon, he got fired up. Don't know what he was doing between those 2 games. His stats in the second match, oh my God, 1.82. Rexon finished the day with more frags than any other player in the league. He got 21 in game number 2, 22 total, puts him number 1 on the leaderboard coming into today, which is incredible given how much he struggled to get onto the kill feed in that first game.
And listen, this is what it takes to be a top player in any league in Siege, is you're going to have a bad game, accept it, put it aside, and that's exactly what Rexon did. And I said it before, you're only as good as your last game. Rexon obviously didn't like being 1 in 9. Who wants to be 1 in 9? Not me, not you, not anybody. And again, then goes into the second match. Huge, I mean huge, phenomenal plays, carries his team. Obviously, they didn't get the win, but for an individual to step up that much after having a hard game, it just goes to show that he has tons of mental fortitude to keep pushing.
I mean, it's one of the worst feelings in Siege, though, right? To drop a 20 bomb and then still lose. What do you do after that game specifically for Soniqs? And I mean, for Rexon, it's great to know that a performance like that at least got them 1 point, but how can you walk away from that game not feeling like it was still a wasted chance?
It just goes to show that, you know, doesn't matter. Siege is a team game. You can be having the game in your life just like Rexon did, and you can still lose. Obviously, it was close, but it still comes down to a team basis at the end of the day. And it's unfortunate, but it's still good for an individual to see that your performance wasn't as where it needed to be, or lack thereof. And then you come back and show why you're a top player. You show why you have the mental fortitude to continue going forward.
Soniqs are a world-class team. I don't expect this game to, get into their heads too much. It was kind of a frustrating one. There were a lot of blitz plays, a lot of ying plays. We highlighted that actually at the start of the day today. But really for Soniqs, this was close. This was a very winnable game. And they get to play Beastcoast today, which based on the match or the play day 1 results should be a simpler game.
I mean, you'd hope so. I feel like because Beastcoast have 2 new players, there's still a lot of things that we have left unanswered, but we do need to talk about maps just because players are on the lobby, so we should go through this relatively fast. I think Beastcoast need to find some sort of advantage in the map ban phase, because if Soniqs are struggling and Beastcoast are struggling, I don't know, maybe it's time you really pull like a rabbit out of a hat here and try something special.
It would be nice. We already got Nighthaven once. We'll see maybe some consulate action. I'm expecting something boring. Oregon was my pick for where we might end up, and
come on,
I was
man.
correct. I hate
We're
to
both
say
right. Pound it.
Woo!
Dude, Nighthaven made it all the way to the end, though.
It almost did. Beastcoast could have gone there. They did ban Nighthaven 1 out of their 2 games yesterday, so deciding to ban it again today, we end up on Oregon instead. It's a good map for Soniqs, 2-2 on the year, and their only losses were against W7M in Copenhagen, and then a round 15 1v1 trade. They want to redo. They want to see that again. This time, hopefully they win the 1v1.
Yeah, and it coming down to Oregon, honestly, I think Soniqs, this is where it can honestly play against Beastcoast pretty heavily. Is obviously Beastcoast is going to go off the most recent VOD and see, what happened, where things went wrong for SQ, but that is where the advantage then falls into SQ because they can make those small changes and make Oregon look like an entirely different map. So I'm definitely excited to see what SQ is going to bring. Are they going to keep it the same, or are they going to change something than what we saw the other day?
Well, this is the only game that both Beastcoast and Soniqs are playing on the day. The sad reality is somebody has got to lose 3 games straight, given the way that both of their games played out yesterday. Someone is going to go through 3 games and not have a single point at the end of this week. Will it be Beastcoast? Will it be Soniqs? We'll find out as Stokes and Lynx have the call for Game 3.
I can tell you, as I wouldn't go so far as saying I'm a huge Soniqs fan, but as someone who expects very highly of this team, I'm hoping we see a complete rebound from yesterday, because we've talked a lot about Rexon's huge 21 kill game, Sam, but between games 1 and 2, the team was just not there over the course of the whole playday yesterday.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that. It was not the Soniqs that we're used to seeing, especially the Soniqs from earlier in the year. A lot of big names not showing up yesterday, but I really just want to sweep that under the rug for them. I want to look at today as its own entity and see what the Soniqs can do. We still have a lot of the second stage left. They haven't gotten a dub under their belt just yet, but we're back on Oregon. This is a bread and butter map for Soniqs, and they've already played it once this stage, so there should be nothing stopping them from taking this away from Beastcoast.
On the opposite side for Beastcoast, though, this is at least a little bit of a default map, something you don't have to necessarily strat like crazy on. That might be advantageous for them, as they've seemed to struggle against some of the more proficient teams like OXG yesterday in outthinking or outmaneuvering them. First op ban on the board, of course, will be Ying. I think, ironically enough, I think that actually would have been something good for Beastcoast, depending on if they end up struggling with their attacks later on down the line. But Soniqs level the playing field. Both Ying and Do could be taken off the board. A lot of the normal aggressive operators we've seen played over the past few months to enable quick roam clears or decisive executes removed immediately on the attacking ban phase, and then following it up with a Fenrir, have to imagine likely a Valk or an Azami or another one of that trifecta will follow suit.
Yeah, we always have Solus lurking around too. I feel like we might need to expand the big 3, right? The defense is kind of starting to show way too many faces here that we see, and another one coming through that, whenever it's banned, you can't argue as to why you wouldn't ban it, right? Valkyrie gonna get removed, and I mean, why not? Fantastic cameras, Nitrocell, MPX. That is going to lead up a lot of operators that people are really going to enjoy. The one that comes to mind for Oregon is obviously Warden for me.
Not banned, of course. Warden always going to be the difficult one. By the way, as you're seeing right now, Sam, I was actually going to tell you about this, but I forgot. In the moments before the match started, Gunner's mom came in and gave a 5-minute pep talk to the team. Not only to Gunner, but to the rest of the team. So that's what we just saw on stream. Shout out to Gunner's mom. Always trying to support, make sure that Soniqs get their heads in the game for today, as they are starting on the attacking side on Oregon, and making sure you have all your ducks in a row starting on this side, especially when Soniqs are coming off a very rough day number 1. It'll be imperative to start off the lead, or at least the game, well.
10 seconds
All right, well, we can't let Mama Gunner down here, boys, so let's get our heads in the game, Soniqs. Yeah, I would actually just be seething and throwing up everything all at once. I'd be feeling so much pain for Soniqs, and not only Soniqs, but obviously it's Gunner's mother. So we'll have to see what they could potentially do. Obviously, Gunner had a pretty decent day, I would say, yesterday for himself. So we'll see if they can try and get all of the guns firing this time around, as we will springboard into Oregon.
Gunner, since his entry on the roster, has been a pretty consistent rock. He doesn't have the same takeover game potential, or he doesn't take over games as often as I think I had experience seeing him do in T2 or Tier 3. But he's always been very consistent in that he puts up solid performances, especially in the early round, and never really seems to cost rounds consistently. Maybe one here or there, but he's always putting up a decent performance, and this round, no different, as he spots Hat, the most lethal player on Beastcoast inside of Stage 2 so far, and in Stage 1 as well, fell very early thanks to Gunner outside of main door.
Well, it's funny that you bring that point up, because when you look at Beastcoast and you think of their cadence as a style, right? Mr. Beast is very calculated about things, but the pacing sometimes can get very T2-esque with how fast they'll do things, right? Or some of the peaks that'll be taken by some of the members of Beastcoast. And perfect example, again, what we just saw right there. Gunner's just patiently waiting out in front of the lobby, waiting to see if anybody that considers himself a gunner wants to try and step up and take a fight. And that's exactly what happens. Hat swings down Armory stairs, which is something that you don't even really need to necessarily do, right? right, Lynx? But he feels the need. He feels as though he needs to try and take one of these fights, and he ends up losing it in that situation. This is going to allow Soniqs to continue to work their way around the map, try and get some other panels opened and things along those lines. And actually, Mr. B's going to get caught completely off guard. I'm really scared for Doc here because this angle can really work against you if he ends up finding the top of these panels. But I do believe if Rexen backs off a little bit more, he'll fall. So
he's got nades as well. Oh, he does spot Doc as he drops down from the pillar. When you talk about taking these gunfights, Beastcoast not shying away. I mean, they're doing it again, just a little bit more successfully. Mr. B might fall, but Doc takes down Rexen, but now he pushes for more. Retakes into Big Tower as one SQ player is stationed outside. It is important given the site is meeting right now. No basement, no dorms defense. The tertiary bomb site first up for Beastcoast. Securing control of that Big Tower can be important to stop SQ from implementing the plan they wanted to on the backside. Now it might be the front doing the talking. Doc, double kill now. One with the gun, one with the EDDs, but Soniqs equalizing now in the 2v2. Gunner gets his second at a critical moment, and an equally powerful spray transfer, backed with the energy from his mother, is able to get Soniqs their first round in show-stopping fashion.
the mom effect, boys and girls.
The mama buff.
Yeah, make sure if you still have your mom, you hug her. That's an amazing thing to have in your life. So Gunner showing out for his mom right now. An amazing round for him from start to finish. I especially love the read that he had on lobby. Didn't want to overextend himself. He's like, I'm just going to wait outside, let the team kind of do their thing over inside of dorms and stuff. And easily able to get the opening kill and then translate that into some very solid positioning for the remaining members of the Soniqs. Nobody overplaying their hand, and really just a Soniqs round through and through. Exactly the play style you would expect out of them.
And Beastcoast's decision to start on that tertiary bomb site in the first round does not pay off in catching Soniqs too far off guard, though I will say, especially thanks to Doc, in terms of his gadget placement, I suppose, but also the kill he managed to achieve on a Rexen in the big tower. Soniqs weren't exactly stepping in exactly the path they wanted to, but they stick the landing, and now will move down to basement, as they likely expect one of the two primary bomb sites to be Beastcoast pick. As we do move down below, Soniqs have a lot of utility to tackle basement whichever way they want. I mean, smoke bullets on Capital, Mavericks deal with the hatches or open up some holes in the walls down below, and Rotero drones to deal with these deployable shields. I mean, they could pretty much go any which way with the lineup they have. Maybe.
He's thinking.
Oh.
He's trying.
Saw a little bit. Saw the shin.
And Mr. B showing a little shin, huh? Scarlet letter right there, Mr. B. Mr. Hat, I'm gonna rotate in for Attic, and an absolute freebie. Not a, yeah, I'd let him know too, Hat. What are you, Gunner? Hello. no drone, no nothing, no clue, it seems. As Mr. B's gonna have a crosshair reverse. I'll quickly dispatch Citizen, as Mr. B was dealing with him. And from Concrete. So far, so good for Beastcoast here on the second round.
A bit of a heat check for SQ as well. Definitely, I think throwing caution to the wind in round 2 has not paid off for them, unfortunately. Gunner, or the rest of the team, not really droning at it. Gunner loses his life to a very preventable position. And Citizen was just taking a 1v1 in bedroom and unfortunately lost it. Mr. B might be on 1 HP, but Soniqs undeniably the loser in the first half of this round. Again, have plenty of utility to still do a lot of good work, open up these hatches, use those that breaching torch and the hard breach charges, but losing the nades and the Rotero drones, they're certainly hurting for what could have possibly occurred had they kept Gunner and Citizen alive.
Well, the good news is that they still have time. Big issue is that they were not able to recoup a single frag. And when it comes to executing the basement, you really want to at least have an equal man count, because things can get pretty murky pretty fast. And seems like we might have our answer here at a moment's notice. And yep, Rexen's going to die instantaneously. Reversal take down Grixer and Geo. What are your thoughts about this situation? Oh, nothing? Oh, okay, awesome. I'm pretty sure we're going to just sit here for the remainder of round 2, because there's really nothing that Geo can do. It's going to be a flawless here, as Hat has expended every single magazine into the corpses of his enemies.
He's just very happy.
And he's very happy about it. Hat, you should not have that. that smile after that round is just...
Hat's a smiler. A lot of the time we cut to his face cam, and he's always cheesing. He's always happy to be here, which I appreciate at least. I especially appreciate it. I mean, he's look at him losing it right now.
He's geeking right now, man.
But seriously, I mean, we had a very, a solid round from SQ in the first one. They got meeting. Sure, there might have been some missteps, but overall it was solid, especially from Gunnar. And then you have a very quick descent in quality in round 2, as you don't often want to, criticize teams. But again, Gunnar losing his life in a very preventable position and preventable situation. Citizen then just stuck taking a 1v1, ends up losing it. We're a 5v3 at that point. Then Beastcoast just dismantle Soniqs as they push him down to the bomb site. It's basement, so you maybe could expect the defense to walk away with that one most times, but especially after such a good start on round 1, I guess maybe we'll look to round 3 to instead continue that momentum game at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, you definitely think that the basement will take it, right? But I don't think you ever think it's going to go down in that fashion. They hold things down on the top floor and make it where the offense really aren't able to clear. And I think the big surprising factor about that is the fact that I think that Citizen actually needed help in that top floor situation. That's why we saw the hop from the Flores there. Just really unfortunate timing. I don't think that they knew the amount of trouble that they were going to get themselves into on that top floor until it was way too late. So we'll have to see if Soniqs can try and remedy this with a little extra droning, a little extra know-how in the info game. As Mr. B is going to try and limit test them yet again. He's going to be all the way up in tower, and you can see that he's got some preventative maintenance up. He's got one of the welcome mats on the window just to make sure that they can't pressure him too much if they do choose to try and deal with the big tower.
Also an angle that if Soniqs decide not to clear out the top of Big Tower, that he can take later on in the round, stop anybody from pushing up to the armory window, pushing up the Big Tower stairs, the attic later on if we see another critical mist drone like we saw from Soniqs in round 2. A lot of options that maybe Mr. B will take later on, but Soniqs don't seem really concerned about Big Tower at the moment. It's all front side pressure. Gunnar moving in once again, like we saw last round, but seemed to be a bit more informed this time and a bit more cautious, thankfully. Just pushes up to classroom, holds a cutoff angle outside a meeting, while the rest of the attack tries to clear Doc out from trophy and likely pressure this position enough to get a first pick out of this initial engagement.
Now here's the thing, Lynx. They have the setup, but now they have to find the pressure points. They have to find the ways to force Beastcoast to move around. Because without them meandering, really any of the angles that you have don't do too much for you, do they? You actually need Beastcoast to be active. So we need to see Soniqs have a few dislodgements here and use these tools to force Beastcoast out of these foxholes. As we quickly get down to 1 minute. Soniqs at least able to muster master control as of now. They've gotten a breach open, but nothing really past that. They are starting to build up, though, as you can see an access point being built over towards the white end of things. Grixer fell on the top of the stairwell, but he knows that he has 2 players that could quickly try and dispatch him. It's going to be Doc first, and actually Hat second, as he'll take down Grixer. Doc will fall 2. It's going to be a 4 versus 3 in favor of Coast.
Geo just downs Mr. B through the wall, so the Big Tower player now in attic finds himself on cam duty for the last 30 seconds. 2 players on both teams on low HP, but given it's a 2v3, Beastcoast worse for wear. The Bees go down, Geo with the bomb as well. Oh, shut down by Hat. Reverse with a quick 1-tap to take down Gunnar. It's Jover in round 3. Beastcoast, despite the disadvantage in low HP, don't care whatsoever.
Disgusting plays from Hat in that, especially. I mean, a great angle there from reverse to, obviously match Hat's aggression, match the pacing, and take that angle there to catch the guy off guard inside of Master Closet. But my God, Hat, what a way to deal with those angles in the game sense. He immediately turns on a dime, Lynx. He doesn't even care that he just ripped the head off the planner. He turns on a dime and immediately starts fighting with the guy on window. I mean, what a player, what a play. And so far, Beastcoast really showing up here against the Soniqs.
They've got 2 key defensive rounds and now are back on track for what we would expect from an initial half on Oregon. They've got their 2 primaries, and now their only option is to go, oddly enough, I don't think I've ever said this in round 4 of Oregon, they now have to go back to meeting or to kitchen and dining if they want to. Both sites are available for Beastcoast to select. But with the ability to now recover that momentum that we saw in round 3, able to fight back in that 2v3, quickly take fights, deal with the planter, turn your attention to more promising avenues inside of the late round. Beastcoast in a solid position to get at least a 4-2 half on their defense if they can maintain this performance. Mr. B meditating, I think that was what that was, or he's going to sleep. I wasn't quite sure. But he's still very focused on concocting ways in which they can widen this lead even further.
In order to make new ideas for Siege, he actually shuts the rest of his body down just so his brain can only run. So just give him a moment here. He's trying to figure out exactly what he needs to do for the next round. And it seems like he's awake and well now, so we'll be getting back in here momentarily. We'll bring you guys through the replays of round 3 and what a round it was. First of all, that shot from Hat, absolutely disgusting. Like, that is a heck of a slice of pie to be able to take out of that angle. You can barely fit a gnat through that thing, and he's able to slide a couple bullets and meet the head of the offender.
Also, of course, Hat taking down Geo later on. Reverse with a nice shot onto Gunner.
I always think Mr. B is just going to smack the hell out of his webcam. Like the way the hand goes back, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
He does that like a lot. Yeah, he does that exact pose like a lot of the time. It's just like, this is the dam breaking right now because it's been brewing in my head for a long time. Why does he do that every time? He like winds the right hook back every single time he's excited. I mean, listen, I get he's excited. I understand that and I admire it, but the same animation every time, Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, up on the right stick, apparently. Touchdown every single time. He's just like, there it is. But I'll tell you this, dude, I'd hate to catch the fade because that form, it looks nice, you know?
It does, it's true. Looks like there's a lot of power behind it.
Yeah, you know, a little twist of the waist. Catch me right in my chin, man. You never know what could happen. That's what I'm saying. A lot of pork in that thing right there. A little pork. Mr. B, not too torquey in this game so far, but for the rest of the team, he's been setting them up for success. Reverse and Hat have been tag teaming Soniqs back and forth, just destroying them time and time again. Nobody able to win out their engagements as these two have been neck and neck in kills, just doing their best to try and ruin Soniqs' day so far on their offensive side. And, well, round 4. Looking to do so yet again. I do like that the Soniqs are still trying to keep on pace early on into the rounds, though. They don't want to try and get too aggressive and just start handing over rounds left and right. Still want to make sure that they know what the setup's looking like and that they address it accordingly.
We have no early pick from Gunner either, so it is all just trying to create that proper solution, as you talked about. Try to craft the proper remedy to whatever defense Beastcoast are throwing at them. You see Grixer over inside of Dining. It's a common position for Soniqs, common position on many Oregon attacks. Have someone in this area, catch anybody rotating around kitchen, or not doing their due diligence and just sprinting with no caution whatsoever around or outside of the bomb site. We are starting to get low on time. Gunner does spot one, though. Right as I said, we need to start seeing some action or seeing a kill. Gunner catches Mr. B, rotating around that top floor, has removed a piece off the board. Might find a second. Hat loses his initial opportunity, scares Gunner to the point the Yata hits prone. Tries to provide as small a surface area for the Doc to hit. And the 3v5, Doc now drops down, or Hat, excuse me, on the Doc, drops down to the garage. Soniqs move into the plant. Geo going for that plant. Rexon takes Hat's head over outside a split. It's all going Soniqs. A very quiet death for Beastcoast in round 4. Might be a flawless, but just slow and steady by Soniqs, but a consistent beat to push Beastcoast back.
No riptide to this one. Soniqs just easily walk across the beaches here and take it away from BC with a flawless one. And not exactly what you'd expect given the first 3 round circumstances. Neck and neck in almost every single engagement. Beastcoast winning out a lot of the early on fights. Soniqs obviously able to get a round, but now tying things up at 2. This offense coming together now, and it's looking a lot more feasible for them to try and make this half a split decision.
Just one win on either basement or dorms would do it. And the Soniqs we're seeing on these meeting defenses is very, very different to the Soniqs we saw on dorms, especially basement. But still, in that second meeting round, it was a very slow attack, very patient, waiting for Beastcoast to give Soniqs an opening. And to be fair, once the attack found it, they moved very quickly to keep the ground they had just gained. But on basement, where they also tried to just playoff opportunities, they misread them 2 times at the beginning that resulted in a 5v3 favoring Beastcoast. Now we need to see that same patient Soniqs, but also one that isn't just, waiting for Beastcoast to make a mistake or making mistakes themselves, but one who can combine the best of both worlds. Maybe also not fall to Mr. B running out of the bedroom doorway.
Presenting the puzzle again. Mr. B's going to show face early, but he's going to immediately back off because this is one of those areas, Lynx, where if you stick around too long, you give him about 15 seconds, there's probably going to be 2 cutoffs, a couple drones, and a person trying to kill you. So you kind of do your thing and immediately leave. Otherwise, they'll probably run into your doom. See if that's going to be for Mr. B, as Grixer not paying attention to the potentiality of a player working his way down Armory.
Oh.
He's not very happy about that one, I don't think. So that's going to be a nice one there for Mr. B as he slinks on down Armory. He's still alive, just walking around Garage. This is not something you really get to see too often on Oregon, is it?
No, it is not. The good one in chat is not a great omen for the mental right
that
now.
one either. You never see that one. You never see the good one.
That's a new reaction, but one that I can intuit isn't a good sign. At least Hat's all positive. Hat's hanging out. He's just having a good time, but unfortunately for Soniqs, once again starting off on a poor note, losing a hard breacher as well. They've been bringing that Maverick and the can openers in tandem to do the whole hard breaching. Now with just the secondary hard breaching from Geo, only be able to open bottom main and meeting, nothing else.
I have this suspicion that Beastcoast are having a lot of fun right now, and I don't think the Soniqs are exactly having as much.
I think might be on with something there.
No, we'll have to see. We'll report back later. This is just a theory, a game theory as of now. So, as for the Soniqs, they've got mid-floor control, and as you said, they've been able to can opener 2 of these hatches. This is where the rubber hits the road. They got to try and transition this into an onslaught onto the bottom floor, and I mean, really, this can become very problematic very quickly, especially with some of these positions if they do end up going awry. Gunner's actually going to start off strong, though, so he'll take down Hat, our lover from earlier, and be able to assist Beastcoast with the later portions of this round now, where Warden usually is one of the best ops that you can have access to. A couple of the other pieces of utility will be able to hold Soniqs back for now. We do still have 1 smoke in the pocket of Spiff, so we were just moments away from getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Citizen will sprint on in, but at the cost of a lot of HP. That toxic canister chipping away at his health. Geo laser beamed by Doc. Finds 2 for his troubles in 1 clip of the MP5. Gunner also doing the best for Soniqs. Not enough, unfortunately, but Rexen, the man from yesterday, the 21 bomb on Oregon, and the 1v2 has found 1, but that might only be it. Doc, a 3K in the round to match Rexen's 2. Unfortunately, Beastcoast seem to have their Oregon defenses all in a row.
They're looking so solid right now. Yesterday we saw them on Chalet. It wasn't exactly the greatest representation of what Beastcoast was capable of. Chalet, especially from the defensive perspective, right? Very hard to try and maintain. And you look across the field to the rest of North America and the team they went against yesterday, and the likes of Oxygen. That's a squad that handles those kind of maps, especially, Chalet, very, very well from the offensive side of things. So difficult game to start off there, but now coming into Oregon and starting to get some defenses, not only successfully, but pretty swimmingly, honestly, at the end of the day, up against the Soniqs. You have to be very, very happy with how these results are transitioning from day 1 to day 2.
One thing Soniqs do need to be concerned about a little bit, just at least given yesterday's performance, the attacking side was generally better for them against LG than their defenses, so you would be breaking away from trend and at least on game day in stage 2, delving into uncharted territory, making sure that their defenses are solid once they swap sides, but picking up this win on Dorms in round 6, making this a 3-3, would do a lot to give them an assumed gap on their defenses in the second half, one with which they can take a little bit of time to maybe make some mistakes, maybe try something new, but rely on some improved coordination between yesterday's game and today to keep Beastcoast away from anywhere close to match point.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think Mr. B's strategy, besides killing Gunner, was behind this operator lineup here? When you look at it, really critically, Lynx, what do you think he was thinking?
I think 1.5 and a Baramat to cause your opponent some concern is probably probably the two things that Mr. B chose Frost above anything else.
Well, not even the Frost, is the line. Oh, speaking of lineups, Citizen with a heck of one on the hat, but just the lineup overall is like, let's bring Mute and then bring 4 trap operators. let's force you to clear every single door frame in this entire building and see how you like it, because maybe Spiff just blows somebody up magically because people don't like looking at doors at 2 minutes into the map.
Soniqs, unfortunately, nothing really going their way on these sites that aren't meeting. To be fair and to give credit where credit's due, their meeting attacks were quite solid. Gunner especially putting up some good numbers in the early round on both outings on meeting. Everything else on basement and dorms, it's been Beastcoast leading the way. And now with half the round gone, their setup remains mostly untouched. Doc still has this shield to contest bedroom. Watching Armory stairs too, where Citizen on that Nook is lying in wait. Mr. B, a second angle with which they can deal with that Nook pushing in through the Armory doorway. These guys are in the driver's seat right now. They are in control of this game, and Rexen, try as he might, can't turn it back in their favor. Doc goes for a second swing, doesn't find a third, but puts Soniqs even further back in round 6. As a 4-2 half seems all but assured, with Geo now dust.
So very well done from Beastcoast. I love that they brought the absolute bare minimum to make sure that these walls would stick around for a little bit of time. Mr. B very happy about that round, and you should be. I mean, what a strategy call. You bring the mute jammers, slap them on the walls, bring traps, abode to just try and cover every single orifice that they could try and access. And especially with a character like Nook in the lineup links, I mean, that's going to work with spades every single time. I mean, she's trying to sneak into doors and do all these kind of different things, but they just simply don't have enough utility, especially with the operator lineup that they chose, to try and clear out these things. You know, Bravo can only access so much. You only have so many frag grenades too. So it's just like, what do you really do at that point? Especially with the amount of pressure that Beastcoast was maintaining around Trophy. It's so difficult for Soniqs to try and work out of the thick of it.
And I know it's a 4-2 half, you know, this is what you expect when you're attacking on Oregon, but still just a lot of questionable moments on Soniqs attacks throughout these rounds, especially in the early game. I mean, 2 rounds now where Gunner moves into attic or big tower and loses his life to something that was very preventable. It's not an issue solely on Gunner, but the team as a whole, there seem to be lapses in intel gathering, lapses in positioning, and something that Beastcoast, depending on how their attacks are, could absolutely take advantage of if they're able to start strong in round 7. Mr. B is going to the Montaigne. This is a comfort pick for Beastcoast. They love running these cheesier strats, but ones that can cause the defense to second guess themselves and panic.
There's a couple of good things though for Soniqs, especially when it comes into the strategy considered for Beastcoast. You have the Legion in, a couple of Nitro cells, full of other things that could be a little bit of a nuisance. Up against the entire lineup as well, not only the shield here. We have Hat swing in here. No secondary hard breach for him. It's only going to be the Selma charges of Spiff that they have access to, and this is going to be a basement assault. So really going to have to pick and choose what he wants to do with these. It's more than likely going to be the electrical hatch, I would assume, but never really know. Reverse is going to get taken down by Rex, and the impact's now starting to come out, and this is the big problem for Mr. B. Although he is protected from bullets, they have so many explosives. They still have 4 impacts, in fact, Links, to deal with this Monty shield.
A lot of chip damage they can do to Mr. B sitting inside a pillar, and then down he goes, down on the floor, finished off by Grixer. Basement seems to be clean for the Soniqs, though Doc mounts a good fight, but Case is dropped inside a pillar, trapped down into the basement, into the heart of the defense. And Soniqs recognizing this, not only do they have that advantage, they can just start pulling back. They don't need to take these fights. Gunner might still flirt with an engagement, but he doesn't need to. Will put Hat down to 50 HP. That's just more the merrier at this point. Spiff also now worse for wear. Grixer with a nice angle onto the back tower stairs. Not a flawless round, but about as close as you can get, with only 1 player on the Soniqs falling on their first defense.
And that's what we need out of the Soniqs to start things off here. Able to get a round under their belt, make them feel a little bit better about going through the rest of this Oregon map. You know, get a little bit of the pressure off their shoulders and make this just a touch more feasible for themselves. So now, considering the basement off the board, more than likely headed upstairs for this very next defense after that successful one there. And And that's more than likely going to mean a big change up with what we see for our offensive lineup, not only our defensive lineup. So Beast Coast with some solid considerations there, at least initially, able to get some hatch play in and things along those lines, but not an overabundance of hard breach there, just really trying to force their hand on the big tower end of things. And I think just getting completely out, strategically played. There was just really nothing they could do against the amount of explosives that Soniqs had there. The entire crux of their strategy was Mr. B with that Monty shield, and once that got removed, they kind of just had to face their demons, and Soniqs were definitely glad about that.
It certainly assuaged some of my concerns I had going into the defensive half, that we did see them see a threat, react accordingly, and then deal with it accordingly. That's more than what we saw in a lot of those attacks when we saw them on basement, on dorms, seeing them do that on the defensive side. All right, might be in for a long game here, or might be in for a dominant defensive half if they can do this in round 2 as well. Tie it up 4-4. We're looking very good, though. There's active intel on Gunner right here. Beastcoast had a Z ping and everything. Doc just still walks right in front of it, doesn't die, thankfully. But Gunner walked away with a lot of damage dealt to Doc that Beastcoast seemed to know and account for, but Doc might have just not noticed.
As you know, Lynx, when it comes to the opening portions of the round, especially those first like 30 seconds, usually a lot of back and forth about how things are going to be handled, where people need to be, what the overall strategy is, and sometimes things just get lost in translation as you're thinking about what you need to be doing for your part of the strategy, right? So could have just completely sailed over his head, because as you said, they had that check. They knew what was going to happen, but Doc's still punished with half of his HP missing. That's not how you want to start round 8 here for BC's side. Gunner now getting a good read on where the info game is coming in, at least for the drone's sake. Now it's going to try and shove one of the clones up into security. He'll find Gunner, which will force him back downstairs, at least into freezer for now.
Finding our rats.
Keeping that Specchio alive, it'll only get more powerful as the round goes on, especially if Beast Coast are looking to plant the bomb. The ability to play vertical, spot the diffuser through the floor, be powerful, so Gunner wants to stay alive as long as he can and also not get too aggressive too early on, only take opportunities that are more surefire bets and not gambles. Beast Coast are going for a big window white take, and that does mean that if Gunner does survive down below, there are multiple angles that not only could he shoot through the floor, but also could find if they hop in that window, plant behind the bookcase, no matter. Gunner will just have to deal with this player on bottom white right now if he wants to get to any of those positions.
This is where you want to see Soniqs rest on their strategy, rest on these crosses, and so far so good. They're able to keep the man advantage equal here after reverse trades things back onto Geo. It's gonna be the smoke down though, not exactly the best operator to lose early on. Well, 45 seconds remaining, Beast Coast have to hop too. That was just their initial volley, and it looks like Mr. B will be up next. Get taken down too, and Citizen default to reverse. It's gonna be a 2 versus 4 here with minimal time remaining.
Doc also has his entry into attic, completely covered by a defender from below. Gunner can spot the Amaru. Oh, but loses the fight. Low HP. Not enough to swing that fight into Gunner's favor. So Beast Coast have to overperform quite a lot. The highest performer on Beast Coast and the lowest performer right now, Doc and Spiff respectively. In the 2v3, everyone from Soniqs on the west part of the top floor, all on the west side of dorms. Doc now down, Spiff finished off soon after. Soniqs have us all tied up.
4-4, and in the power position right now, defensive side, not only securing the basement, but also the top floor. That means we're more than likely going to Kitchen Cafe, I would say. I mean, they switch it back and forth. You really never know nowadays in Oregon, do you? They could throw us over to meeting. We'll have to see. But for Soniqs right now, these defenses are coming so handedly to them. East Coast not really able to hold a candle on the offensive side as of right now. They were feeling very strong about their defensive ends, but so far these offensives have not been able to catch much fire. Maybe when it comes to this third offsite here for the Soniqs, they'll have a better chance, especially when it comes to trying to clear things out for a mid-floor site on Oregon. Things just a touch easier as you kind of have to extend yourself upstairs, and it makes it to where there isn't nearly as many people in the area to deal with, since there are obviously 2 floors being played all at the same time.
But if Soniqs can walk that tightrope, if they can hold both of those floors, or even just hold on to one while keeping Beast Coast away from an execute or away from a flawless execute, keeping options open for Soniqs, they'll be able to get the 5-4, get a flawless rotation, and retake the lead they gained all the way back in round 1 and have not gained it back since. Also will completely dispel the worries we had going into the side swap if they can win this meeting bomb site. Certainly be very good omen going forth. Looking at the lineup for Beastcoast right now, usually the presence of a Thermite, you might think they're going for a stage plant, but there is no Osa on the board, which she's often brought to help with that position. So a couple different areas with which Beastcoast could mount and execute. Still yet to see if they're going to deal with that second floor presence, though. They might have to put at least some pressure on it eventually.
Indeed. Just with the early setup and the early call from, you know, just the body positioning right now, the body language of Beastcoast, it's looking like they want to lean towards lobby and get that right-hand breach links, get that single panel, see if they can set up just for the garage cover. It definitely helped them with the positioning that the Soniqs have adopted, but obviously they'd still, like you said, have to deal with people on the second floor. The third level, not so much, because you don't have to worry about anything really except for the garage door that they could end up, you know, peeking down onto that Reverse is standing in, so he does have to worry about that, but anything past that, they really have a clear advantage over if they are able to get access through that means. But you can see Beastcoast are trying to keep this very open-minded. Hat's going to try and sneak his way into the bottom of tower, but he's going to be met with a hail of bullets right into his ankles, and that's going to knock him down to about 50 HP.
Half the round gone, Soniqs have done a very good job at pausing Beastcoast game. The attack is down to 3 drones total at the moment. No real control gained after the first half of the round. Beastcoast are still fighting just for the initial inches into the map, only now starting to clear out Big Tower, which that's not saying that Big Tower is an absolute requirement to take on a top floor attack. But if that's the focus, if that's where you wanted to go, they're just now repelling in with 1:10 seconds left. I mean, we're in bad shape, fellas. I mean, Soniqs have the entirety of the top floor. They've got Avnik as an avenue to either fire shots or land rotations. Beastcoast didn't even repel in at 1:10, Sam. They're repelling in with 55 seconds left, and 4 of the 5 players all on this part of the map. This is a prime opportunity for Soniqs to get 5-4 right here, unless Beastcoast get 2 kills maybe when they push into the bomb site.
Oh yeah, it's looking like clobbering time right now for Soniqs up against Beastcoast. I think this is going to be a pretty heavy-handed swing here, Lynx, out of them. So EMP's out. Spiff's going to start working his way down low, looking to secure his very first kill of the entire game right now. Hat knows he has one in kitchen. He's going to pre-fire, but with very minimal time, they have got to get themselves into this site. Goo Mine right into a thorn trap as well. Hat's going to take quite a bit of damage. Quite a few crosses still adopted from the Soniqs, and a heck of a spray down from Rex. And he'll get 3. Might be a 4th here, too, if he is able to get the one coming in right now. And he will, because why wouldn't he? He's Rexen. That's going to be a quad for him. Gunner will be able to clean up the last one, and Soniqs will take the lead.
That's just probably, I don't like making hardline statements. That's probably one of the worst rounds you could have had as Beastcoast going into your second attempt at these bomb sites. It's the tertiary site. It's the one that in theory you're most likely to win, and Soniqs defense, I mean, Sam, maybe you disagree with me, but I didn't see anything that was like completely mind-blowing. You know, they had some players on the top floor, had meeting hatch control, had players playing in the back of meeting far away from the stage. I mean, maybe there was some utility that was problematic. Absolutely. The presence of the Azami and the Solus are always difficult. Beastcoast spent 1:50 just not accomplishing anything, thinking maybe, but not leaving nearly enough time to get anything done that they needed. And now they have to go try that on basement, where their previous strategy likely won't be implemented at all.
It's really hard, right? Because you look at the opener for that round from Beastcoast, that first 1:50 that you're talking about, and the one thing that you see is a lot of consideration, but no decision. And that's the thing that we have to talk about. The indecision there is what gets them in trouble. They're flirting a little bit with lobby. They're flirting a little bit with tower. They're kind of looking over at the kitchen hallway links, but they don't truly want access to any of them. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? They're stretching themselves too thin on that offense, and it's easily exploitable by the Soniqs. Why? Because they don't even have to do anything. They have to sit still. That's all they had to do that entire game. The only major move that they made that entire time was that they took their player out of Big Tower. That was it. They moved him back about like halfway through the round, about a minute into the round, once they realized that Beastcoast was going to be taking a while, and they kept everybody alive until the very last moment where Beastcoast were forced to try and take in through a very tiny hole over on, you know, the stage side of things, and that's what makes it the easiest shooting range for Rexon ever, as he bodies 4 people with 2 magazines.
Very interesting. Excellent catch, by the way, from our observer, Easy. You saw the focus right there. Soniqs hiding the Mira, keeping her inside E-box crouched. No black mirrors placed in the prep phase, but more importantly, 2 players around her shooting drones. And once that happens, Grixer, the moment action phase starts, places down those black mirrors, and they deny an opportunity maybe for Beastcoast to have effective counters to those Mira. Now there are some options. We have Mr. B on the Hibana, of course, but most of those ex-Kairos are going to go to the hatches. It'll likely come down to the nades to deal with that Mira, and operator that Beastcoast might just be noticing is there.
It's so interesting that in you know, the current timeline that we exist in with Siege, that we haven't been seeing more hard breach in general. Secondary hard breach, just, you know, more than just one piece moving in. And speaking of moving in, Reverse is going to hunt down Geo on the top floor. You saw how many shots out of the G36C it took to take down the big boy too. Mutant 3 armor nowadays. Takes a little bit just to be able to chip through that armor, huh? So able to get at least the first one down, but a long road ahead of them, and Reverse does not have very much HP.
Not a lot at all, and even though they're losing Geo, and that is a C4, they still have 2 more. They've got Grixer and Citizen, so if Beastcoast go for a play down back tower stairs, they have 2 C4s to throw over the top of that Shelton supply to deny the plant, and they also still have those Mira windows and the Warden alive to fend off any pressure coming from the laundry stairs. So even though they're losing a body, a lot of the resources that Soniqs need to make this defense work are still in play.
And end up getting the security hatch. That panel probably used somewhere else down low inside of their strategy. You can see those Kiba barriers working their way into as it'll clog up the angle at the top of the locker here. Pat trying to clear out a little bit of debris for Reverse as he'll continue holding on to the cross section here for Freezer. Has one directly up behind him. No real drone play here for BC. Doc the only one with drones left, and he'll be actively using those. Hat'll move forward, get tagged up a bit from the Mira deeper into sight as he's been able to at least successfully get towards the lockers, but his death might be soon upon us as Gunner will actually be able to take down Spiff. At next, Reverse will fall too. This is going to be a trade in between these two. It's all down to Mr. B to try and clutch up with 20 seconds remaining in a 1 versus 3. Can he make it a 1 versus 2? He can. He'll down him. Now he has to find Rexon, who's been so very clutch, Links. He's at the back pillar here, all the way deep. I don't think that he can hear this plant either, so he should be able to successfully get up his teammate, but that doesn't mean that Mr. B can't clutch this.
He very well clutched this. Sees the player outside the Mira window too. He's got to back off now. Defense has got to move forward. Oh, shot through the defense's own Mira. They don't know he's down just yet, but they'll find out momentarily. An excellent attempt by Mr. B. The 2 flashes in pocket as well. Maybe if he just had a little bit more time to cook, he could have landed it, but Soniqs now on match point after so far a flawless defensive half.
I mean, they're right within the distance to be able to take these rounds, but it's not working out for them when it comes down to the nitty-gritty. These details constantly going over Beastcoast's head, whether it be broader strokes like we saw in the previous round before this one, or the more minute details like what we just saw here with some of the players getting tagged up just a touch more, and the Soniqs able to stave off the man advantage that Beastcoast was looking for so desperately. Yes, Mr. B is able to at least get the plant down and try and clutch things out, but a very tall ask for him inside of that 1v3 any way you cut it. Even with that down, there's just so many different advantages that Soniqs have in this scenario that are really, really difficult for Mr. B to work out. So again, super, super close, and you have to give them the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Running out of opportunities, unfortunately. Running out of time to maintain the benefit of the doubt. 6-4 now. Match point. Soniqs have guaranteed themselves at least 1 point.
10 seconds to go.
Out of today's match, they have moved up now to 2 points total in the NAL.
5 seconds left.
Beastcoast still stuck at 0, and if Soniqs win this next round, Beastcoast will be unequivocally in last place. Since discounting SSG, who haven't played, Mirage got 2 points out of yet out of today's game. Gunner maybe finds a kill right there, just puts the final nail in the coffin, but Beastcoast need these 2 more rounds if they want to keep their playoff chances alive.
Oh my
in reverse. I mean, he might be the man to do it.
He might be him. Really flipped the script on Citizen there. I thought Citizen had him dead to rights, dude. That reaction time was disgusting. I was surprised the reverse even had his gun ready. So nice pickup onto the Legion of Citizen. Citizen will have a very long time to think about his wrongdoings. As Soniqs might have to go to the next round here after that lead pick, but let's not count him out of it just yet. We have a lot of talent on this squad, and Gunner and Rexon have been firing off inside of this Oregon, especially Rexon after yesterday's second match. His first one just lit a fire under him, and ever since he has been destruction incarnate. Looking to do so yet again here. Mr. B has 2 in the area, but does he know, Lynx?
Him and Reverse both seem to know. Spiff as well might have an idea. Soniqs causing a little bit of concern in the comms of Beastcoast as 2 players around laundry stairs and meeting. Cause everyone to get off drones and start looking towards the front doorway, but they all backed off. Nobody losing their head on the side of Soniqs, aside from Citizen earlier on. But Doc, the only player not on that front side, has creeped up back tower stairs. But he's not as sneaky as he thought. He failed his stealth check. As Chio has an idea there might be someone inside a big tower. The flanker might just be outflanked.
The hunter may become the hunted. How good are these in-ears, Doc? Every little minute movement you make in Siege does make a noise, but they do get very, very quiet. So it's up to this. If there's proper gunfire, Gio can just slip through this as well. He's going to hear that movement above him. Doc seemingly aware that somebody could try and work up behind him. And it's going to be the swing now. Gio's got to win it, and he'll get it. And not only that, but he'll make himself a nice little window here in Attic. Be able to try and assist himself even further. Spiff and the rest of BC. Spiff, a huge whiff onto Rexon, but easily traded back from Reverse. Down into the 1 versus 2 for him. He's got to get this plant down. There is a nitro cell underneath, though. Gritzer's going to go searching. They found him. Reverse isn't dead. They didn't shoot it through the hole. Reverse has a chance. And remember, guys, this is this man's 2nd day in professional play. Reverse, an opportunity to clutch things up. He'll be able to tag up 1 overrun trophy, but he can't get it done. The Soniqs will be able to take it away from Beastcoast and make sure that they are the bottom of the NAL.
Excellent recovery by the Soniqs. Now 3 points up from 1. We'll throw it back to the desk after this to talk about maybe Soniqs just might have a chance at further recovery.